Okay, I haven't done hoof update in, gosh, how long's it been? I think it's probably been 3 months, right? So there's nothing significant that's going on because obviously it does take a while with hooves to correct, right? But obviously he's been in heart bar shoes, so we did heart bar shoes and hoof packing. But he didn't tolerate the hoof packing, so I actually had to take it out. And he was okay. I think his soles were just quite badly damaged, I guess. But he seemed to be happy with that. Second shoe cycle, he was totally fine. Yeah, I've just kind of like still exercised him and things like that. So this was the first time he was shod, and then this was the second time he was shod. So I can see improvements, and then he was shod again a week ago, I think, and then I had x-rays. But obviously with everything, things, hooves grow, right? So any bruises or any damage you might not actually see until later on. So I found this really interesting. So obviously I've been documenting Arthur's feet. My phone is absolutely full of hooves. But the bar material that obviously just kind of merged into his soles, I don't know if you remember it, but we took a little bit of like loose sole, I'm assuming it is now, loose sole off his soles, and he had a massive bruise. And the bruise was a perfect matchup to the bar material when I started to watch Arthur get a bit limpy on that left fore. So here's a picture. So anybody who kind of doesn't believe me over embedded bar, you can't really argue with this, and my vet found it quite interesting. At the end of the day, he's got flat soles, bar is harder than sole wears quicker than sole. He wasn't walking properly as he was barefoot, probably contributed towards like additional wear or whatever, I don't know, but yeah, so this is just kind of the way it went, but I don't think many people can argue with my photograph in that there is a good chance that was from the bar. It just matches up so perfectly. But anyway, the heart bar shoes seem to be doing a really good job, and I think I've got to grips with the thrush, particularly on his front feet. As you can see, so the left is a picture of Arthur's feet before he went into shoes. So you can see the frog is fairly thin, whereas now his frog is really wide. So they're still working, they're still helping for that. And then I got him x-rayed. So I was expecting a bit of more of a change, but the changes are subtle. So with his fronts, there is a change. So here are the x-rays. I've tried to do the angle to stop and start on P3 in exactly the same place, so you literally get a like for like scenario. So his front feet are responding really well. P3 is still moving upwards, and alignment is much better than what it was prior. I haven't put any stats on it because I'm not confident enough to do that, but just by eyeballing it, they look so much better. And here's like when I first started with Arthur's front feet and what they look like now. So the outside is changing quite drastically. So I'm fairly confident with those. His hinds haven't responded in shoes quite like his fronts. But he's still not NPA. Like, at the end of the day, he was in wedge pads, right? And the trim, in my opinion, probably wasn't the best trim because his heels were being taken away, which just exacerbates the problem. Like, at the end of the day, Arthur is still slightly underrun. But the thing is, by cutting away that underrun, you're not actually correcting the problem. You've got to let things grow out. But he still isn't NPA, and alignment has improved, even though P3 is sitting a little bit lower than what it was when he was barefoot. But I can still see improvements. But I did start to feel like his hinds were deteriorating a bit in terms of angles, and he has started to camp under a little bit. So I knew from the outside that things were maybe going a little bit downhill with his hinds. But this might just mean that we just change up his trimming. So obviously the x-rays have showed me that he has a half decent, he's grown quite a nice amount of sole. So the farrier can take a little bit more off his, the bottom at the toe area to be able to force those angles a little bit more. And he's already taken enough. He's setting the shoe back. He's a brilliant farrier. I'm so lucky that he's working with me on this. So yeah, but now that the ground is hardening up, I want a different shoeing plan. So we're actually, because my farrier is a really good farrier, I want to try the 3D pads again. Not wedges. I don't want to go down that route again. I think I'm achieving quite good changes anyway without it. I'm just not, Arthur isn't in proper full work. And I'm happy with that. This year is about looking after his feet and just building his strength up. That's pretty much what I'm focusing on this year. And it seems to be working. Here are some pictures from like kind of what I started with his hinds and what they look like now, and they're still a damn sight better. To be honest, I even think that maybe because when he came out of the wedge pads, his hinds were really, really bad, and you can see it in the picture. So I think he might even be worse than the x-ray, than the beginning x-ray that I've got. But I didn't x-ray him after wedge pads, so I've not got that as evidence. But yeah, so the x-rays have been really valuable. So me and the farrier can have a little bit of a think. It might mean that I don't hot shoe him behind, because his heels seem to grow a lot quicker on the fronts than what they do on the hinds. So if we just preserve those heels as much as we can, hopefully when alignment gets a bit better, those heels will just grow straighter. They are trying to grow straighter, because they're not a true underrun heel kind of thing. It's not, you can see that his hoof capsule wants to be a certain way. So hopefully the 3D pads will just provide a lot more support at the back end of his hooves as opposed to the heart bar shoes. But the heart bar shoes have been really important, and he hasn't lost them. I think he lost one. But that was kind of my fault because it was so boggy at the entrance to the bigger field. And I knew one of them were going to lose a shoe at one point. But yeah, they've been really, really good, because at the end of the day, there's no point putting some shoes on a horse if they're potentially going to lose it, especially in the winter. You just respond to the horse and respond to the environment. But yeah, so things are going good. Arthur is going absolutely fabulous. He really is. I'm so happy with how he is. I'm convinced that his feet have been a bit of a problem for him. Now I have to kind of work on his hind feet. So I work quite hard on trying to get rid or just get the bars to grow straight, because the bars have been squished and their starting point is a little bit skew with. So I'm trying to just get them to grow straight again. So just getting their origin, I suppose. and I'm sorted with the fronts, so the fronts are totally fine, they're growing really well. But the hinds, the bars are still a little bit skew width, and they're just growing, they're not growing straight. So I do have to focus on those a little bit, but I'm just so happy that he's sound, and I'm happy that he's happy. And I'm happy that we've kind of got out of that nightmare. The left four, his soles took forever to start growing at the area of the bar, which was a problem. So that bar that was really squidged into his soles and squidged up against his frog. But then all of a sudden that started to grow, and then all of a sudden he had this massive lump on his soles, which I left for the farrier to take off, and then obviously that's where that big bruise was underneath. So I'm not stupid, and I know quite a lot of barefoot trimmers and people who are hell-bent on thinking that bar material over the soles offers protection. It's not what I've experienced, and I've got plenty of evidence to show that my horse didn't like it, and it wasn't laminitis. But I am planning to try the barefoot again. Everybody who follows me knows that, but I'm not ready to do it yet, and I just want Arthur's feet to be in a bit of a better position, because I just don't want to ruin the progress. His back is great, he's not had a sore back. When I got him x-rayed, so obviously the Paul Work Clinic, right, he was a bit swishy-tailed, and he was a tiny little bit lethargic and things like that, and I just, but he had a very manky willy. And he wouldn't let me near it, so I knew that obviously it was too dirty. I've been spending so much time on his feet that I haven't really thought about this. Anyway, I decided to use the sedative from his x-rays so I could actually clean his willy. Anyway, I found a massive bean. So yeah, I think this is probably causing him a little bit of discomfort as well. So he's been fine, and he's not really tail swishing, and he's actually weeing a lot more than what I'm used to. So I'm not even fully sure whether he potentially has a water infection, but that's something to think about. Oh, I'm so sick of seeing the vet. But yeah, everything's going really well at the minute. I'm so pleased that I got x-rays. It is just so beneficial during this time where we're trying to make a difference. So I know that the farrier can take a little bit more off the bottom area of his feet for to try and force a little bit of alignment. And I know that we really have to preserve those heels as much as possible, and I think we'll be all right with that. But yeah, this one's short and sweet. It's just a brief update on Arthur's feet. But yeah, if you like my vlogs, just make sure to hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, and add a comment if you've got any questions or you want to know anything. It would be really nice to get to know who is watching my videos. Arthur's Facebook page is it's quite a busy page. But yeah, it would be nice to see who is subscribed to his YouTube channel. So yeah, until the next one, bye.